What is up, everybody? My name is Kid Ikarus, and this is my podcast. My guest today is a hip hop artist. You can find her most recent single, Heroic Activity, over on Spotify. You can check out her music video for Battle Scars over on YouTube. Please welcome Phalasee.
Yes, thank you.
And then we hop into the interview.
Awesome.
All right. So thank you for sitting down with me. So let's talk about how did you get into making music?
Honestly, I've been a writer all my life,
Mhm.
all through elementary, middle school, high school. And right after high school, I just had stacked books of poetry. It was just poetry. And I actually started in Limerick Park. There was a few shows that some of my friends were like, hey, you know what? There's going to be a few spoken word shows. Why don't you come out, check them out? So I came out, I checked out the crowd, and it just kind of, it fed something in me where I was like, this is what I want to do. But I was always super nervous. It was just like taking the leap. But it started in Limerick Park at, let's see if I can remember the name. Empowerment something, but it was beautiful. It was beautiful to start there. There was so much skill, so much energy, so much vibe, and I just started by doing some spoken word, and then one day I put a little beat behind my spoken word, and it became a track, a song, a record.
So I hear that a lot from hip hop artists that they started out doing poetry first. What were inspirations as far as poetry goes? Because like, as for me, like, there's not a lot of poetry artists that I actually know of. Were you a fan of like poetry?
I know, but you know what did inspire me was the way Tupac would write. And of course, I was born and raised in Los Angeles in the Crenshaw district. So growing up listening to Tupac, his music is almost poetry. It is poetry, you know. So listening to him growing up and putting my words together wasn't that far off. So
I'll tell you what, I got some bad blood with Tupac.
Oh no.
Yeah, I just think that some New York art school kid shouldn't be a representative from street California music, you know.
Well, he did it really well though. He represented it to the T, which we're proud of still. So
he made good stuff. I've gotten into some arguments about Tupac before. I don't think he's the best. He seems to be held up as this like role model when he's not. But yeah, fantastic music. I don't think that anybody has ever captured the thing that he did with his voice that made him sound like a speech writer or like a black pastor. The way he would elongate certain words. Hello, if you hear me.
Yes,
like that kind
delivery.
Of thing. Like, I don't hear that from anybody else, and I think that that's like a fantastic thing that he does. What kind of music do you listen to outside of hip hop? Because I was listening to Love Angel yesterday, and there is a song where you have a sung chorus, and there's these harmonies in it that don't sound like hip hop R&B harmonies. They sound like something else, and I'm trying to figure out what it sounds like.
Well, you know what? I listen to a lot. Being Latina, I listen to a lot of Spanish music. My mom's Guatemalan, my dad's Mexican, so the rhythm is there. You know, so growing up, I listened to a lot of R&B. I grew up listening to oldies as well. So a lot of my harmonies, a lot of the things that I try to do with my music is just being not only a hip hop artist, but just being open to just creating music. You know, I don't like to be put in just one genre or like she does hip hop, she's a rapper. No, I you know what I mean? I still have a lot to learn. I still experiment. I still with my sound, with my music. So a lot of Spanish music, a lot of oldies, Brentwood, a lot of Keith Sweat growing up, a lot of the Delphonics, the Temptations. Honestly, that was a big part of my life growing up.
Okay. Do you have any? Do you play any instruments?
I don't.
No. Do you have? Do you happen to grow up in the church?
You actually know. I in the few years in the beginning, yes, and then it kind of just
I was
diverted.
gonna ask if you were part of like a church choir or something.
No, you
No,
know
huh?
what? I don't know what was so scary and nerve wracking to
Mm-hmm.
like put myself in a choir. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
do it until like my 12th year in high school, but I should have done it a lot
But
sooner.
you were in a choir in
Hmm.
12-year high school.
Hmm.
Okay. How was that?
It was great. It was great. I wish I would have had a longer experience with choir though.
Okay.
I feel like I would have it would have helped me with my sound now.
Yeah.
Spanish, I want to sing in Spanish actually. I'm actually working on a Spanish record.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that would have helped me a lot. So right
Okay.
now I'm just kind of picking up the pieces. I'm experimenting. I'm still trying to get over the nerves and like, oh, do I sound good? Do I not? Just overthinking. I'm a big overthinker.
Yeah, I get that. I do the same thing. Particularly like when I was younger, I hated my own music, but then I got to a point where like I made music that I was like, oh, this is something I would listen to all the time, you
Yeah.
know.
Hmm.
And I think it takes a while to start getting comfortable with your own voice,
Yeah.
and also like it takes a good engineer to get comfortable with your own
Exactly.
voice.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, you're recording same place I am at Project Mayhem,
Yes.
and
Shout out to Ryman. That's my brother.
yeah, he's the best. But like when I get my vocals recorded for the first time and get them played back, I'm like, oh, I don't know. Should I do another take? This doesn't sound good. Something's going
Hmm.
on with my voice.
Hmm.
And then like I'll be like, all right, it's fine. And then he'll like EQ everything,
Yeah.
and it's
Hmm.
like, oh, okay, yeah, now I get it. Like this is how it's supposed to sound. It takes a while to get it
Yes, you
right.
know what? Ryman has something special about him that he is able to just take that out of you. The hunger, the drive, the reason of why you're behind that mic. Honestly, we've been working together for over a decade now. That's where I started Mayhem.
Oh yeah,
So my very first tracks were recorded there, and it's become a place. It's become a home. You know, I
yeah,
feel so. I feel at home there. I feel the energy, the vibe is always amazing, and I've learned to be more open and play with my voice a lot. He's always been an inspiration too behind the tables too. But he's helped me a lot to play with my voice, and you know, it doesn't have to be Phalasee 2 years ago. It can be a new
yeah.
Phalasee. You can try new things. You can
Hmm.
throw in some new hooks, sing on it, rap in Spanish. So he's always been helpful with like experimenting and stuff. So I love that.
Yeah, so you have a new project that you're working on that you're going to
Hmm.
release in May, yeah?
Yes, it's called Above Water. I'm super excited about that. And honestly, it's just a lot of tracks that I've kept hidden from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
As an artist, like I said, I'm an overthinker, and like sometimes you'll record something and it's amazing, but then it just stays in the books. That's
Okay.
it. So I do have a lot that we're going through, and we're like, okay, what's gonna make this album? What's gonna be different? What's gonna make it go live?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm super excited about that. Everything has been recorded at Mayhem, so that's amazing. I love
Right
it
on.
there. But yeah, you should expect a lot of big things coming from
Okay.
Fallacy for sure.
Where do you get your beats from?
Same. Mayhem has different engineers,
Mm-hmm.
different producers that go in, go out, and I've met a lot of great producers there. Eddie Bloom, bands, my brother. But yeah, also Ryman produces, so
Mm-hmm.
you'll hear a lot of
So
Ryman's bands.
those people are all producing certain tracks on the
Yes.
album?
Hmm.
Okay. What is something different about this project that you tried out? Is there any new things that you were like, I wasn't sure
Yeah,
about
actually,
this? That
my cadences are different. I feel like I've grown to be just my own artist. Like I don't want
okay.
to sound like anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be put in a box of, oh, this is just another Latina rapper.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm a lot more confident. I'm doing it for myself. I'm also just having fun with it. I think that's what it is. I'm having fun with it, and I'm just not holding back anymore.
Okay. How would you describe the vibe of the project? I like to give this question sometimes. If you were to describe the music in terms of objects, like if you took a picture of like three or four objects together to make the sound, what would those be? I asked particularly because you're wearing like a fur coat and like gold glasses and stuff. So should we expect something
um
a real bougie, real rich blooded?
that's funny. No, actually, it's very it's, you know what, and this is funny that you asked that, because it's either you're gonna like it or you're not, because I do come across on some songs very West Coast, very like almost gangster rap, because that's what
Okay.
I grew up on,
Yeah.
right? And I grew up in the Crenshaw district. It wasn't pretty,
Mm-hmm.
so I do talk about those experiences, and I talk about, growing up with two older brothers that,
Mm-hmm.
showed me the ways, and they were gangbangers themselves, so it's not pretty.
Mm-hmm.
But I also do you can also feel me as a woman, and embracing all of this, embracing everything that I lived through, life in Los Angeles, life in the Crenshaw district. So I'd say, yeah, you either like it or you don't. Some songs I come very hard, very strong, and then some songs are very playful, like Heroic Activity. That's
Mm-hmm.
very inspiring. That's one of my favorite songs as well.
Okay. So is that a single that's going to be on this
Mm-hmm.
project? Okay. So
Yeah.
that's a taste of what's
So
to
very
come then.
different. Yes, yes. And it's like a roller coaster. Heroic Activity is to inspire you. It's almost like go to the gym, put it on, and just go hard. I am trying to get it placed
Mm-hmm.
different. I'm trying to, hit some commercials, movies, videos, see where that lands. But I had a lot of fun recording that track, and I felt like I almost needed it for myself, because I
Okay.
was kind of losing myself, and I didn't know if I wanted to continue doing music, and
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody goes through that phase.
Yeah.
But that track definitely helped me stay strong.
If you were to describe this album in a color, what color would it be?
Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna go with my favorite, which is purple, royalty. You
Okay.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing less.
Okay. So like a deep, deep purple then. Yeah.
Yes.
Something like
Mm-hmm.
velvet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it is a little
But you know
bougie.
what? I would have said blue, because you know what I mean? Nipsey Blue, Crenshaw District.
Oh
But
yeah.
no, yeah, royalty. I do hold myself in a pedestal. I've grown to love myself as a woman, as an artist, that's just as a person, and also encourage the people around me to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a leader, I've always been an overachiever. So I definitely have to keep myself in that aspect.
Yeah. I get you. What is what is there a lesson that you want people to take away from your music? Is there a main message or a main ethic that you try to promote in your music that you want people to learn from it?
Yeah, I definitely want you to stay educated. I want you to stay hungry, confident. It's hard, you know what I mean? If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. One of the things that I've been telling myself for the past couple of weeks is, when whatever I do, I sometimes I try to do a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems, and I tell myself, damn, this is a lot, this is a lot. But if it was less, then I probably wouldn't want it.
Yeah.
So stay strong, stay confident, and always want more. Don't just stop where you think, okay, this is it, I'm happy. No, there's always levels to push. And one of the things that I tell my family, stay educated.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep knowledge alive, stay educated.
Yeah, that's something I've been struggling with lately these past couple of weeks is like I like people tell you to take some time for yourself every once in a while, take some breaks. I have no in between. Like the past couple of weeks, I've been like all my free time I've been working. Either I'm at the gym, I'm doing Instacart when I'm off work, I'm at my normal job, or I'm in the studio. I'm doing one of those things. And like last night, I had a couple hours where I was like, Instacart wasn't giving me any orders, so I went home, had dinner, and I had a couple hours. And like the moment I get a couple hours, I'm either like I have the voice inside me that goes either eat as much as you can
Mm.
or go out and find some drugs or do something, because in my mind, that's how I relax. Like that's how I have fun. Even though, like, to me, what I really should be finding fun is the music and stuff, which I see as work, you know.
Yeah.
And so I kind of feel like that message that some people give of like, oh, you know, you got to take some time for yourself sometimes. It's like, do I? Or can I just keep going?
Yeah.
You know? What do you think of that?
I think you can keep going.
Right?
It's about pushing yourself. I'm not saying don't sleep. I'm not saying don't have a good meal. Don't go out with your friends. No,
Yeah.
that's fine. But also the energy around you means a lot.
Yeah.
The people you have around you, like you said, oh, music might seem like work sometimes. You know, sometimes it's just switching the energy around you so that it doesn't feel as work. When I go to Project Mayhem, that's my home. You know, I've even told these cats there that there's no other place that I get to be myself because I do so much. And, you know, I am in the cannabis industry, and I do music, and, you know, I also try to be a family person, and I have a boyfriend, and I do a lot. But when I go to Mayhem, I just get to be myself and joke around and really, you know, dive deep into who I am as a person, you know? And it's about the energy that you keep around, you know? So
yeah, it's interesting you said there, you know, you're not saying not to sleep, not have a good meal. And I think that there's it's always important to do those things not for their own sake, because that's a problem I have. I have a terrible relationship with food. Like I weigh about 170 right now. At my most, I was like 250. And like, I mean, I'm not a fan of sleep because it makes me feel like I'm wasting the day. But I know people where I'm like, what do you do for fun? And they're like, when I'm not working, I just sleep. And it's like, what is that? How can you live your life like that? But that's how it is, right? With anything that is, this is to take care of yourself. That's all it should be. Like that's how I am learning to treat food, is like, have a meal and then be done and get back to whatever work or whatever fun there is. At Project Mayhem, you feel like you get to be yourself. There's always tons of stuff going on there, right?
Podcasts.
What has been one of the most interesting things that you have been a part of there? I mean, they've thrown some live Instagram, YouTube live shows before.
You know what? Through the whole decade that I've been there, I think there was a point where we had shows back to back every Thursday, every Friday, every Saturday, and it was different shows. It was for Project Mayhem. It was from Sella Hip Hop. We had Phalasee Fridays. I think that was
on Friday, and I have just name dropping yourself.
Valley Friday, yeah, it was popping. It was beautiful. You know what I mean? It was when I think the scene in the hip hop, the underground hip hop scene was really, really popping in LA. And Los Globos was popping, the Airliner was popping, all of that.
I just went to Los Globos a couple times these past couple weeks.
Yeah, beautiful place. I'm glad that it's still alive, but it's nothing like what it was.
Yeah.
You know, I think artists were a lot more hungry, and some people made it out and are still doing music, and some people just, you know, are gave up and didn't, you know, for whatever reason, you know, are not doing music anymore. And I think what it was beautiful, and that's what I always think about.
Okay. You ever get on those games that they got over there?
Yeah. The Pac-Man, the Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite things. It's just it's so great in the background of stuff, like when they're doing like podcasts or music videos or stuff, and it's just there in the background. I don't know. I may have a simple mind that likes.
No, that's funny
lights,
because
you know?
We might be recording an hour, 2 hours straight. Ryman's right there in the keys, and then we take a quick little 10-minute break, and you find them playing a game. So no, it's dope. It comes in handy. It, you know, gives your mind and you know, a break. So
need those just the flashing lights. I enjoy colors, you know what I mean? Colors, different color lights, it makes me happy. Do you do longer sessions? Do you write in studio?
I do write in studio. Yes,
Okay.
you know what? And this is something that I'm trying to work on. I'm trying to find time to be able to just write at home and get inspired. But what I've been finding is that I get inspired at the studio with the people that I'm around and the sounds that I'm listening to and the vibe and the energy. But I do write in studio. So I'll book a session 4 or 5 hours, write for the first hour or two, and then I'll lay something down.
Okay. Yeah, that's a long time to be in studio. I always just have the 2 hour sessions. Anything longer than that, I get burnt out. I get burnt out after the 2 hours too. I tend to write lesson first, like that. I have this philosophy about writing in general that is informed. Do you know who Joseph Campbell is? Have you ever heard him? No. He was a scholar in like the 50s who's most famous for writing about the hero's journey in ancient mythology and how all these stories have these same patterns and stuff. But I have this theory that all writing is about it's the way that humans trade lessons with each other.
Okay.
It's all about arguing to prove like, oh, you should live this way. Like that's how I view writing. And so when I sit down to write, it's always like, what do I want to say 1st, and then how do I translate that into songs? When you write, what's the first spark in your brain? What do you just start writing lyrics and then combine those into a common theme, or do you get concepts first?
A little bit of both, but I think most of the time I do have already, lyrics scattered around, and then I bring them together. And if I have to rewrite something, I will. One of the things that motivates me, inspires me a lot is the team, because not that I always want to one up them, but I know that they're going to come with some fire. Yeah. So I'm thinking like, no, my shit got to be fire, you know? We have a great team over there with Boon Kun, Foxy La Chingona, Bands, Ryman. So we all inspire each other to be the best. You know, don't come with anything mediocre. Complex as well. We just don't come with any bullshit.
Yeah, so Boone's one of my favorite
he's
local artists. Like I listen to him every once in a while. Put him on Spotify. When you were composing your project, how did you choose? Is there a specific order to your songs on it?
We are currently working on the order now, but it's going to be interesting because, like I mentioned, it's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit of more hardcore, underground, kind of more in your face music. But then we have these fun tracks as well. So it is going to be interesting when we put the final list together.
Whenever there's something like that, it's always the question of like, do you group the heavy stuff away from the smooth stuff, or do you go back and forth, Yeah,
that's going to be interesting. I think all the music that I've put out, though, and when people have seen me perform, they've seen nothing but hardcore music, like underground bars. I'm talking about something that you might have to listen to it twice to really understand it. So I think people are expecting that. I definitely want to focus a little bit more on like different sounds, or like singing a little bit more, and then you'll be able to hear that a little bit more in the album.
Okay. What are some of your favorite albums of all time?
You know what? Of course, any Nipsey album, J. Cole. I listen to a lot of Jay-Z.
So I haven't heard much Nipsey. The one that came out after he died was probably the one I listened to the most, just because everyone was talking about him. So I figured I should. And I know only a bit of Jay-Z, but I am a huge J. Cole fan. So what do you think is J. Cole's best album?
Let's see. It was probably, what is the name of the one with, what is that one? It's not the last one, but the second to last.
Oh, KOD.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes,
okay.
That one's, yeah.
See, I was full on expecting you to say Forest Hills Drive.
No.
I think
that's his more commercial stuff, though. I feel like
I was ready to go in and be like, nah, it's KOD. Like, because I feel like a lot of people say Forest Hills Drive, which on it personally, I probably think is his best album. Because I like smoother, boom bappier kind of stuff, and that's what that is. But yeah, KOD is surprisingly good, and it's very much stripped down to like it's a sample, it's an 808, and it's a drum line. Like that's it. Basically, every track is just those three things, but he's able to like flip that into a full album.
Yeah, and you know what it is? I think that's really important and special to me because it's definitely, you know, I'm more of a bar person. I'm more on like, what are you saying? What is the content? What are you telling me? What am I gonna get from this song that you're? I love a beat. I love, you know, the drums. I love, you know, the sounds. I love that. I think it makes a song. But I'm more into like the words, the context, the bars. This, you know, what are you telling me?
Yeah.
And I wanted to add Kendrick as well. Kendrick has some amazing albums.
Oh
too.
yeah.
So that definitely inspired, you know, listening to. I'm really bad with names.
I mean, Good Kid, Mad City.
Yes. The one before that though.
Section 80.
Yes. Oh my God, I love Section 80. I was
really?
like, that was on replay. He was just so hardcore and real on that. I love it.
I enjoy some tracks off that. It really is. It's so interesting to hear somebody so rough, but you know that he is going to become so fantastic.
Yes,
like
you
can
that was already fantastic. I feel
you can hear the growing pains in it. I think though, I don't think it's as polished as some. I don't even think Mad City is as polished as some of his other stuff. I think he's still growing in those early albums, but it is fascinating to see like a young guy that you're like, oh man, there's so much in here that's going to be polished up. What is that track? Is it ADHD?
Oh, I love ADHD.
I had that on a loop for a while because it's so it's just a perfect example of that, where like it's rough and it seems like underproduced, but it's such a catchy song, and he flows so well in it, and it's also, like you said, the bars, the lyrics, like that deals with something that I think like he has such a honest way of talking about things, where he's not glorifying things as much as like actually pointing out problems,
and everybody can relate to it. I feel like if there's something that people can take, it's just being able to relate to that. I think there's a beautiful thing with like an amazing produced album or track. I think that's beautiful, and that's something that I look forward to. And when I listen to really well produced tracks, I'm like, damn, you know, I'm proud of that. I'm happy for you. But then, like you said, something that's not so well polished but still amazing, I love that.
Yeah, I've heard him talk about how at Top Dog they didn't really have ways to add variation to their music, because it was just them, you know, buying beats and then recording over it. And he said that that's why he developed all these different voices, because he needed to add that dynamic change in his music, and all he had to work with was his voice.
Yeah, that's dope.
And like it's, I think, one of his biggest accomplishments, because like all his different voices are so 100%. Iconic and distinct from each other, that when he goes into it, it's like, okay, and I think that's one of the great things about having any limitations, is that you're able to work around it. I think that as artists, it's a good practice to have certain limitations, you know?
And that's what I mean about staying hungry and staying educated. Like, you're always going to have obstacles in front of you. You're always going to have no's, or, you know, people or things stopping you, but go around it, you know, be better, be smarter, work on yourself to be able to be confident, and you push through that, because that's always going to be there.
Do you ever set yourself little challenges? Be like, I'm going to write a verse that doesn't use the letter S or something like that? You ever?
Damn, I've tried it once or twice, but not necessarily. I do give myself a lot of challenges in life, but not necessarily in my writing. I'd say maybe this year and last, I played a lot with my voice. You can hear me just become a different person. So I think
Yeah.
that was a big challenge for me, because in the beginning when I started, the process of like, okay, I'm not going to sound like Phalasee. I'm going to sound like a completely different person, different artist. That was very challenging, because you're all in your head and you're like, does it sound good? Does it not?
Yeah.
Push through. You know what I mean? I'm in love with how I'm able to become somebody different now.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Is there anything technically about making music that you think people would want to know as like a tip? Like one thing that I could say is like when I first started making music, I didn't realize that I could get loud and the engineer can just turn the gain down. And that completely changed how I was able to make music. Like everything I recorded sounded so much better because I wasn't afraid to actually project and throw my voice out there. Is there anything in your music that you're like, hey, this is a little trick that I learned, like use this?
I think it's something super simple, like adding a little bit of reverb or a little delay. But you know what? Ryman always we go back and forth because I am very technical. And he tells me it doesn't always have to be, I'm all about the structure of the song. I like to create songs, and coming from Project Mayhem and Boom Bad and like just writing bars and verses, sometimes, when I'm writing with Ryman or somebody, like they're not focused on a hook or a bridge, or they're not focused on like, dynamics. And me, I'm very technical, and I'm like, no, this is where the hook goes. This is the 16. No, if it's a 12, that doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? I'm very technical. I also went to LA recording school. So I think a little bit of that comes from, going to school.
I am greatly annoyed by certain friends of mine who refuse to have song structure, where I'm like, nobody will make this their favorite song if there's no structure. Like it's cool to like, I always think of it as a track too. Like there's a few albums that I have, particularly. Do you listen to Atmosphere?
Yes.
So Atmosphere's Seven Travels, his second song on there is Birdcage Sing Why I Know or something like that. It's weird mixed up, but it's not structured. It's a verse and then kind of a sung chorus at the end until it fades out. And it works great as track 2, where track 1 is trying to find the balance, which is the most like basic song structure in the whole album, and it's a hit song, and so like when people don't have strong structure, it's like, it's cool, you can have that as track 2, but you need your track 1. You need some of these songs that are basic song structures so that people can be brought in, and then you experiment within that.
And I think nowadays I feel like people need those breaks. Give them a dope verse and then hit them with a nice hook or a nice bridge. That's very, very important, because I grew up on 32s and 64s. You know what I mean? Just nonstop writing because I didn't have structure. And I would just write, and then when I'm recording, I record this whole 64 bar verse, and when I'm listening to it, I'm like, yeah, this is all dope, but are they listening to the whole 64 bars? I don't think so. So that's why it's very important for me to have some structure, and like, like I said, we go back and forth, and he's like, Fally, you don't always have to, go with the norm, and I'm like, no, I do.
Yeah, I mean, it gives people something to catch onto. Like they need that to touch base. It does get tiring after listening to verse for so long. You need that thing to return home to. The hook is your home,
especially if you're a performing artist, because you can be a recording artist and not perform, and then just listening. But if you're a performing artist, you need to vibe with the crowd, and the audience has to like feel you, and you need these breaks to like connect with the audience.
Yeah, I think that also it works good lyrically to constantly return to the hook, because you get to make the verses have a different context each time. A good example of this would be Real by Kendrick, where he has this verse that from his buddy whose brother died, that is talking about he's about to go get revenge and stuff, and then he has another verse from the perspective of a prostitute that's mad at him for dropping her name in the song. No, it's not Real, it's Sing About Me. That's right.
Okay.
And so like when you get both of those perspectives, they're completely separate songs until you get the hook in there, and the hook bridges them together. And like lyrically, I think that a good hook does that. It takes these different perspectives that shouldn't be related to each other on their own, but the hook brings them together. You know?
Yeah. I feel like creating a hook though is a whole different skill, and that's something I was talking to some. I actually co-host B-side show, and I had Robles there, and you know, he was just telling me how he, you know, usually just spits verses and bars and bars, and we talked about the hooks a little bit, and it is a different monster to tackle.
Yeah.
Because but the more you do it, the better you get at it. You know. You can't just throw anything random and call it a hook. It has to be well put together.
Yeah, it has to be distinct, I think. Sometimes people just do the hook in the same exact kind of cadence and flow as their verses, and then you can't even tell that it's a hook. It's just a line that repeats. It's good that you brought up the B-sides, because I wanted to talk about that. I know I had the note on my phone, but I used the phone for the light, so I was like, what was that I wanted to bring up? Yeah, so what's the B-side show?
The B-side show is every Monday night at 8 p.m. I've been doing that for over a decade too. Shout out to the B-side show, Rabbit and Shay. They saw something in me once and they said, hey, you want to co-host? You know, and I said, yeah, and I've been there since. It was a beautiful opportunity to also learn and just be somebody different, you know, or practice different skills and being on a different chair. I'm not the artist. I'm, you know, the interviewer, and I'm, you know, I'm learning from all these artists that I'm interviewing. So it's beautiful. Anybody that is in town promoting, or anybody that, you know, is dropping something new or just wants, you know, has something to talk about, they can reach out to us, and we'll, you know,
and what's the platform for this?
It's a hip hop platform, so it's bsideshow.net, and it's a live podcast.
Okay. Yeah, and it's got its own website and everything.
Yes, it has its own website. You can watch it everywhere though. We go live on Instagram, Twitch, YouTube.
Twitch for all them nerds out there.
Yeah, right. It's popping. Twitch is popping now.
I know it is. I'm just making. I'm a nerd, so I gotta make fun of the nerds.
No, but yeah, Twitch is popping. It's something that I think it's been in the works, but now you hear a lot more about Twitch.
Yeah, I mean it's expanded to not even, like, it started as a video game streaming thing, but like it's not anymore. Like it's just people doing whatever, streaming whatever. What do you do outside of music? What's a hobby of yours?
I have a couple. I like working out when I have the energy to. I like being with my family. You know, I think it's very important to be part of, especially because I have younger nieces and nephews, and I need to be part of their life. I've always been a leader, like I mentioned, and I need to be able to show them why and give them examples. And, you know, it's very, very important for us to like keep moving forward. And I feel like if I have that in me, that I can motivate or encourage somebody to just be a better person, why not?
Yeah.
But other than that, I like to smoke flower. I like to stay faded. I dab a lot.
Okay.
But let's see. I think I'm a simple person.
That devil weed there.
Right. The devil's
horrible.
lettuce.
That's horrible.
That's funny. It does something for me though, which is, and you know what? Back then I was a lot more. I was smoking back to back, you know, joint after joint. I don't smoke tobacco or like swishers or blunts and stuff like that. I'm kind of keep it a little more clean. But now I think 2 years ago I started smoking very like just when I'm either gonna write something, because it does something to me. It inspires me. It kind of just opens my eyes a little bit more, or my mind, to something different. But I'm not a pothead like I used to be.
Okay.
And I do miss it though. I say that because I do miss it.
Yeah.
But I feel like it affects me a little bit more now.
See, I stay clean and only smoke meth. Yeah, I used to smoke a lot of weed, and then I started getting super anxious all the time. Yeah, and so I stopped, and then it kind of cleared that up. You know what it was, is that feeling of wanting to retreat. I don't know if
Mm.
that happens to you when you're high, but all constantly I'd be like, I want to be on my own
Mm-hmm.
and just do whatever I want to do. I don't want to be around other people,
Mm.
and so it would drive me away from doing
Mm.
anything productive. You got to be around other people, and
I
so
hear
I
you.
would be like wasting my life away in my room watching TV, watching BoJack Horseman
Yeah.
for the 50th time. You ever watch BoJack Horseman?
No.
No, it's good. It's good.
I think that happens to a lot of people. And actually, I'm a person that's always on the go.
Yeah,
I'm always, people are always, needing me, or I'm always in front of people. So I also, if I were to stay faded all the time, I'd probably be anxious because I
yeah.
felt it. So this is why I kind of just do it on my own personal time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that seems to be a better way to do it. Do you consider yourself more of an extroverted person?
I do actually.
Do,
Oh,
do
well,
you feel more energized after spending time with people or before spending time with
actually,
people?
I would say before.
Okay.
I think I'm introverted.
Yeah.
I feel because energy, that's tough. When you
Yeah.
have 15 people, 15 different energies, even if it's 5 different energies, 3 different
Yeah.
energies, it's a lot. It's
Yeah.
a lot. And I'm a consumer. Like
Hmm.
I take.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can really mess with you.
Yeah. You know, it's tough in hip hop, particularly because it's such a competitive industry. Like, it's even if it's not like my song's going to beat your song or something like that. It's still there seems to constantly be this competition in even just social interactions with other rappers where it's like, bro, I just want to relax sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
The more the people that like I know
Mm-hmm.
aren't necessarily like that, but like when you go to a show and you're around new artists that you
Yeah.
haven't, there's constantly a front,
I
you know?
feel like when you become the artist that you want to be,
Yeah,
that kind of like that 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 is no more. I feel
yeah,
because I feel like I had this conversation 5 years ago with another artist, and I brought it up the same way. Oh, there's a lot of competition,
yeah,
and at the moment, she said, "You know what? At the artist that I'm in now, I don't feel that, and I can relate to that now."
yeah,
I can relate to that now as, the artist that I am now. And when I do meet new artists, or I'm in a room with different artists, or my friends that are artists, it doesn't feel like that anymore. But I can relate to what you said. And
yeah,
now I'm relating to, what
yeah.
she had
The
mentioned.
other
Yeah.
side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it may be a like personal thing because I mean I fight because I'm a scared person. Like I'm a bit of a coward, and so I train to fight because I think, oh, somebody's gonna try and fight me at
Damn.
some point. I
Yeah.
need to.
Oh, you got to stay ready.
And so it may be that same mentality that
Mm-hmm.
goes like somebody's gonna fight me at some point that says like, oh man, these people I meet, there are other rappers, they're just trying to
Mm-hmm.
there's a bit of that
I mean, you do have to
competitive
stay ready, though.
aggressive mentality.
Yeah.
It's somebody's always out to get you kind of thing.
There can
Um,
always be a better, you know, rapper though out there. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Than you. So I understand. You have to stay ready. You have your skills always have to be polished.
Oh yeah. I mean more socially than actual
Mm.
music. Just the vibe of like I'm gonna. I don't know. I don't. It's hard to explain. A lot of pissing contests is what
Mm.
I think it is.
Mm.
A lot of like, oh, I got some more money than. I mean, it's kind of embedded into the culture
Mm.
itself, right? Like
Mm.
that is hip hop music is to be like, well, I got more money, I got better bars, I got
Yeah.
better cars. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. But do you though? Do you really?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you? What do you think about hip hop culture? Do you think that there is an issue with that kind of mentality in hip hop? That it is a partially there's elements of superficiality in it, that like everything is about like wealth or status or violence. I mean, there's a lot of violence in hip hop as well. How
I
do you feel
feel
about
like I
those
have to break
things?
it down with hip hop, like commercial hip hop
Mm-hmm.
and underground. And I've
Okay.
always been underground, and I feel like in the underground
Okay.
scene, there's a lot more um, room there's a lot more, what's the word, you're accepted whether you do have a lot of money or whether you don't, you know. It's just underground. You're spitting about where you're coming from, and a lot more in regards to like the bars and, you know, the writing and commercial. Then yeah, you know what I mean, if we're talking commercial hip hop, yeah, it's all about the money and, you know what I mean, who you know and who you're name dropping,
all them drugs,
the lean
I
and
think
the
is a bit of another problem, that there's just a lot of negative things that are promoted in hip hop music.
Yeah, of course. And then you have, like, if we're talking about women in specific, you know what I mean, my nieces and, you know, my baby cousins are listening to, you know, Shake Your Ass, and like, which is fine it's not fine that they're listening to this, you know, on TikTok and like, you know, but I can't be a hypocrite. I also shake my ass when I'm out there hanging out, you know what I mean, going to the club. But it's just, it should be a little censored, though, I feel.
Yeah, it is interesting, the difference between mainstream and underground hip hop, but also like there's different underground hip hops, right? Like it's Open Mike Eagle is not going to be part of the same show as like a Webster X or something. Like there's so many branches within hip hop.
But then it also is about how much have you made it your life? You know what I'm saying? Like your skills, how hungry are you? Are you in the lab 24/7? Are you putting those hours? Are you perfecting your sound, your delivery? You know, are you putting into your performance? Things like that.
What are some venues that you frequent, that you think are good places that provide opportunities for up and coming hip hop artists?
I think Los Globos right now is popping.
Okay.
Because you wouldn't see a lot of hip hop at Los Globos back in the day. Let's see.
They have a Wednesday night open mic at Los Globos called Something Dope for the People. That is fantastic.
That's dope.
Yeah, I was there Wednesday. Didn't get called. There's a lot of people.
Okay, so you sign up?
Yeah, you buy your ticket, and your ticket gets you 3 raffle tickets to put in the bucket, and then they pick the bucket in between acts, and it's popping.
That's
like
awesome.
It's a huge crowd. They had somebody from England there the other night that showed up just for Something Dope for the People.
That's
he was
awesome.
like, I wanted to visit LA, and I had been following you guys for a year on Instagram, so I figured I'd come through.
That's awesome. You know what? I grew up in venues like the Airliner. That was beautiful when it was, you know.
Where was that at? I want to say Gardenia.
No, actually, that was close to downtown LA.
Okay.
Yeah. But also, what other venues? Anything in Leimert Park, though, that was a beautiful experience. They don't have as many venues now, but Leimert Park was it's legendary.
Okay.
But now I don't hear of a lot of venues.
Yeah, it's kind of a strange situation now because we're still like just on the other side of COVID. Like I don't know, like there's so many venues that like I used to go to in 2019 where I'm like, is that place open now? Like I don't know. Yeah, there was a bar that me and my friends used to go to right on Bellflower Boulevard here that shut down. We knew the owner. He was a cool dude. He was the bartender almost every night. And yeah, cool to hang out with. Gave the place this like real friendly vibe. And then they reopened again recently, and my buddy was like, "Hey, come down." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to see Chris." And he's like, "Oh, he doesn't own it anymore. It's this different owner, and it's just a completely different vibe now."
Okay.
It's the same bar, but like it's just all the regulars who used to go there now go somewhere else, I guess, because everything got shut down.
Yeah, that's tough. We're still trying to figure out COVID. I feel like
like
you still have to explain yourself if you have a cough or you sneeze. You know, that's tough.
Yeah, I do Instacart, and every time I have an order that I'm not allowed to leave on the porch where I actually have to meet the customer, I don't wear a mask, but there's always a notice on the app that goes, "Please wear a mask," and I'm like,
damn, that's tough.
That's gonna be weird. Like people who still wears a mask at this point.
It was a crazy time.
Yeah,
it was very.
Yeah, it was unprecedented. Nobody knew what like that's never happened before
Yeah.
that I know of. I don't know. Maybe it happened back in 1919.
I think it did. Some an older friend of mine said, "I've been through this already,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "Damn, that's crazy."
Yeah, I know the Spanish flu hit hard, but like, yeah, it's a wild thing. So we are approaching the end here. Is there any other just before we get to shout outs, is there any stories or anything extra you want to tell people? Little fallacy fact to see.
A little fallacy fact. Um, honestly, not necessarily a fact, but I want to just inspire you and motivate you to push harder, push forward, no matter what the case is. There will always be an obstacle. There will always be a person stopping you from doing what you want to do. Push harder. Even on the days that you feel like I can't do it no more, this is where I give up, you still have it in you. So dig deep. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. If it was less, you probably wouldn't even want it. Just go hard in anything you do. Stay educated, stay aware, be alert of your surroundings. Always learn. I think it's a beautiful thing to be educated and learn and be skilled and master your skills.
Right
So
on.
yeah, definitely.
So at the end of the podcast, I always give the guests an opportunity to just shout out anybody that you think isn't getting enough attention. Any other musical artists, visual artists, businesses, funeral homes. I don't know.
Shout out to the B-Side Show always. Thank you for believing in me and giving me the opportunity. Shout out to the Project Mayhem and my familia out there. My project calls Mayhem. You already know Boone, Foxy La Chingona, Bands, Ryman. I love y'all. Shout out to my family and shout out to the Marathon Collective. We're out there. We're putting it in work. So yeah, stay tuned.
Right on. I am going to give a quick shout out to. Who am I going to give a quick shout out to? I'm going to give a quick shout out to Hunter Hadley. I had him on the podcast last week, I believe, and he's a dope artist. So check him out. And with that, that is going to be the end.
Yes, thank you so much. Shout out to you, G. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Not a problem at all. Thank you for coming through. Everybody have a great night. I'm feeling blessed. Tell me how are you? Just let me know if there's anything that I could